what the HR folks said is, yeah, we have a heck of a time. And first of all, if we have a candidate online, we're immediately scrambling to sell the community. And that means we're usually traveling around in our car to the real estate office, to the grocery store, to quite a number of places, just grabbing the materials, the chamber, the visitor bureau, and putting these packages together to influence those folks, create a positive impression. Secondly, if we get them in town, then we got to keep them here, keep them happy, and make sure they immediately get rooted, not just like the job, but like the community as well. All kinds of issues came out of the seams of that discussion, namely the importance of spousal employment, education choices for kids, taking care of aging parents. I mean, if you think about, what comes with somebody that's moving into your community, especially a talented individual, and they have a whole set of management issues in order to be successful, make that move, and get rooted in your community. So, again, our advisory group said this is the challenge, and what they really told us is you need to create a couple new website products. We do have to travel all over the place to find information. There's no comprehensive resource, and we couldn't believe that. So we went out and we Googled and we checked all our online resources, and it was true. We had spots at the chamber. We had one page of quality of life on our website. The realtors had some stuff. Most of it was dated. It wasn't professionally well maintained. And the bigger problem is that if there was an outside person that we were trying to attract into the community and they Googled Yakima, they could find out all kinds of good and bad things about our community. And we really felt it was important through the creation of this website to put our best image out front. This is a website, Live Yakima Valley now, that our HR people will direct their candidates to. And it's got nice rhetoric, nice pretty pictures, but it's also laden very deeply with the kinds of facts and statistical information that a newcomer would need. I would put it on a can, if you've created web pages for site selectors, we created a web page of similar dimension and detail for people that are moving to our community. So again, the other side of that is we created a flip part of that website called workyakimavalley.com. That is recognizing that, again, spouses need employment. Well, there's a lot of different job boards from Monster to WorkSource. We put them all in one area, and we all programmed them so they could only find jobs within a 50-mile radius of Yakima. We also, if you went to that website, you would find we've got a job feed. So employers that register with Indeed.com or Simply Hired will automatically find their job, and it will get posted via our Twitter feed on the website, and you can find jobs that have been posted in the last few hours as a result. And so, flip side of the same coin, the other reason we've created Work Yakima Valley is we realized if we're about talent, a large part of that potential talent are people, repatriates. They're sold on Yakima. I came back to my 10-year high school reunion. I love the community, but to get here, I need a job. And so the Work Yakima Valley becomes an asset on part of that talent attraction. And what I'd like to do is actually not talk abstractly. I'm going to minimize this and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is the website, and you can get the feel of it. We do a blog up in the right-hand corner. All of those are deep website areas that would have back statistics. If you went into our K-12 school district information, for instance, we created profiles on all our school districts. We didn't go to their websites because we didn't find them with adequate information. As a parent, they were wholly inadequate, okay? We wanted apple-to-apple comparisons, and where we found them was the Office of Superintendent for Public Instruction. You want teacher ratios, you want SAT scores, you want the stuff that parents care about, that's what we created. And we have a map here. You can see you can go to all the different districts, find a profile. We also profiled all the private schools in the area. So That's one side of it. If I scroll, if I scroll back up here, computer's getting the best of me. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see our job and careers exchange. You can see if those employers have registered on those two websites, the website, our Twitter technology will capture it and post it. And so you can see we've got a job at Memorial Hospital for Maury. It was posted 2 hours ago. And so, again, just trying to soften the landing for these folks and get back to the nuts and bolts. So, must be reception time. Okay. Okay, so we created the websites, and then we went out on a little training mode, and we trained 60 people from the local community, from different walks of life, medical, real estate, you name it, local elected officials, so that they could be really good hosts when a newcomer would arrive. We gave them all the nice rhetoric off our website, but more importantly, we tried to answer up front the tougher questions that might be raised about our community. We have an above average crime rate. You know, talking about that with our ambassadors, saying it's not that bad, it's 50% lower than it was in the 80s and 90s, we're heading in the right direction, is a pretty important perspective to share with your cadre of people that are going to host and orient those new people coming into your community. And then finally, we're now hosting several receptions a year for these new employees where our ambassadors pair with us to just greet these folks, find out what's going on in their world, make sure they're enjoying the community and getting capably plugged in. So the metrics and outcomes we're still working on. The talent development is really a workforce training. We've had 70 companies participate. I think I'm actually well low as I look at the 250 number for workers trained. I think it's well over 300. That slide wasn't updated with our new supervisory training series. And what we're now trying to figure out is going back to those companies and figure out, okay, did anybody in the training advance, you know, or gain a new certification as a result of some of the training that we offered? As I mentioned earlier, we had a number of follow-up Impact Washington projects, and we've had well over $40,000 of funds or in-kind resources dedicated from the employer side to support this initiative. On the talent attraction metrics, again, this is a 2-year-old effort, and what we cannot do is probably say cause and effect, yeah, we've had a hand in bringing new people to our community. I'm very proud to say that some of our HR people have given us that credit, but I don't really have a deep set of results that we profiled yet. The good news, though, is that we have a whole number of visitors to our website we created. We have a whole cadre of folks that are ready to help when a newcomer arrives. We can certainly track who's coming to our receptions, the number of events we put on like that. And finally, as I mentioned, we are very interested in the influence we have on that overall attraction effort. And one of the best compliments we got the other day was from our HR person at GE Aviation, one of the highest end employers in our community. It says, you helped us get 2 engineers with that website. And we hear now all the time, that website was a great aid. And so I think it's working, but you know, both of these initiatives are in evolution. There's still more that we can do to improve. So some of the lessons learned is that I don't believe whether you're Seattle or Colfax, you can wholly fill the talent pipeline with your existing training and education institutions. I look at our own case. We have Perry Technical Institute. It's a great private training institute in Yakima. It's been there for 70 years. We have a placement of about 90% out of all their programs on average. Guess where they go? All over the place. they don't typically stay in Yakima, and we scratch our head and we get nervous and upset about that. But the reality is for the student or adult that comes out of that program with one of those great credentials, they're being sought after. You know, and the little old wage of Yakima County at $50,000 versus the job at Genentech for $110,000. They're young. They tend to go to Genentech. And yes, we get to keep some of our talented individuals, but I think that would be a pattern you would see repeated across our landscape, whether it's Perry Tech or Washington State University, UW. I think we're all in the same boat there. I remember, and I get a little emotional when I'm talking with other people who say, just keep the kids at home. And I says, well, I was a kid and I didn't want to stay home. Okay, so there's a problem with that argument. And so one of our other keys to success is really a tight partnership with our workforce council. You know, we did use WEDA dislocated worker funds to train those incumbent workers. That's how we got a lot of these training initiatives off the ground. As time has gone on, we're finding that employers are more willing to pay. In fact, through the supervisory training, our employer community paid for over 50% of the training costs. So, you know, as they get more appetite and get more used to these kinds of activities, they don't need the big upfront subsidies or the grease in order to participate. In a broader sense, I really think that, again, employers need all the help they can get when they're trying to attract technical and professional workers from outside the area. This is a business retention issue. As I mentioned up front, you know, this is the biggest issue, you know, finding and keeping qualified people that employers face right now. And it's probably the biggest one in our community they're going to face that affects their growth over the next 3 to 5 years. So, it's a little different than creating new jobs, but as one of my board members aptly put it, he says, Dave, we've got 500 openings at Hanford that can't be filled. We've got 30 openings at the hospital. You know, if we fill them, those are jobs, aren't they? And I couldn't really refute that, especially if those positions go perpetually unfilled. And I think we have positions like that in our community that are latent opportunity for partnership between economic development, workforce development. So I've already mentioned baby boomer retirement. I think we're all in it together. Whether you attract them or grow them, getting this talent pipeline working efficiently, I think, is one of the keys to our economic resurgence in the months and years ahead. So I think what's unique and replicable, the unique thing is for the first time we used incumbent worker training funds. We actually adopted a workforce training module for Impact Washington on their lean manufacturing. They had never thought about that before. They had always come in and said, well, if the company wants it, we do it a week at a time for $50,000 or $10,000. The price was always steep, and we said if you just gave them a survey course exposure one day, first of all, to go back, they might get some more things off the ground. You might find more receptivity if they have a better conceptual feel for what lean manufacturing is all about. It proved itself out in spades. We probably at one time had more lean projects than on a per capita basis than any community in the state of Washington. It does depend on partnership. You know, we couldn't have done it without the Workforce Council funding, but they couldn't have done it without our identification and ability to attract employers meaningfully to the table. That's where we were very careful to gauge industry's ongoing needs. You know, it's so easy to do the training when industry wants it. It's so damn difficult if you're trying to pull them towards that end. And so it always starts with taking their pulse. That's what we did this last fall to get to supervisory training, and when you read the pulse right, things work well. I also think it's very easy for any community to do the talent attraction piece. We found our models in Ohio, South Carolina, and Virginia.